Hi everybody, welcome to yet another edition of Inside Elite Fitness. I'm Sean Woodland alongside my tag team partner, the Hawk to my animal, Tommy Marquez. 19.1 is now officially done, and I think for the first workout of the Open, this one really did a good job of checking all the boxes.
Yeah, there's a few things in particular that I'm looking for week one of the Open in terms of a workout, and I think it hit this. It's accessible, it's elegant, a classic CrossFit couplet. The movements aren't too complex, and everyone could pretty much tackle this head on. Then you look at there being room to grow for some of these top athletes. You want to be able to give room for these top athletes to separate themselves on the leaderboard. They could do that, but they really had to hurt to get that 10-plus round barrier. And then it leaves the door open as far as programming goes, Sean, for the rest of the way and not taking stuff off the table that's too high skill, too high loading, so we can build as the weeks go on.
Let's go through both the men's and the women's leaderboards. We will start on the men's side, and these scores are still unofficial, but here are your top 10 and two unfamiliar names tie with 411 reps. That's Snorri Fjagusund and Lazar Dukic. Then there are some games veterans who are smattered about the top 10. Jason Carroll's in there, Bjorgvin Carl Gudmundsson, Lucas Hogberg as well. But this is something we're used to seeing in the Open, especially in week one. Some names we have never seen before show up on top of the overall leaderboard. What do we know about these two guys?
Well, Fjagusund, Sean, is a hoss. At 6'4", 230 pounds, that's 194 centimeters and 105 kilos for all you metric fans out there. But he's also a very fit individual. He's 38 years old, 35 to 39 division. He's been the top 50 worldwide and the fittest man in Norway in his masters category. So he's got some fitness behind the height and weight that benefits him in this particular workout. As far as Lazar Dukic goes, I got to watch him compete in Dubai, and he's a very fit individual. 8th at regionals in Europe last year as an individual, a very strong performance. And then pay attention because he's been the fittest man in Serbia the last 2 years, so it's very likely he could three-peat and we would see him at the CrossFit Games.
And just a little note, the last 2 years, the guys who have won the opening workout, at the end of the day, when it was all said and done in the Open, finished in the 600. So obviously this thing is far from done. Along those lines, there are some names that we didn't see in the top 10. Certainly, and I want to stress this, not panic time, but you do kind of raise your eyebrows a little bit at it.
Yeah, there's some names, that maybe have a strong performance at the games now and then. Names like Fraser, Fikowski, Scott Panchik. I don't know if you guys have heard them. That aren't on page one of the leaderboard after week one, but there's no time to panic, obviously. This is why the Open is 5 weeks long. We have a variety of tests to balance it out. And just to give you a concrete example, Fraser's worst performance in the Open in the last few years was in 2015 and 15.18, where he finished 80th worldwide. You know what he did? He went on to win the Open that year, Sean, so no reason to panic.
Far from done. Let's go to the women's side, where there are some more familiar names in the top 10, but still some unfamiliar names on top of the overall leaderboard, led by Olivia Leeper with 371 reps. Michaela Norman, who has competed at regionals before, comes in second place. Then you have Annie Thorisdottir, Samantha Briggs is up there, Sarah Sigmundsdottir in sixth, and then Amanda Barnhart is in eighth. But Olivia Leeper, it is week one, but is she someone we should be keeping an eye on here?
I'll tell you this, if her score holds up, Sean, she has certainly earned our attention for another week, but it is on her to perform and keep our attention. A good example of this last year for the men's side, Nikolai Deuce was first in the world in 18.1. And then by week two, he had another strong performance in 18.2, but remember there was two parts. 18.2A, he was 7,716th. So he didn't hold up his end of the bargain necessarily. That's no knock on him. But to have a strong performance, you've got to keep performing well if you want to be considered a contender.
A couple past champions we saw in the top 10 of the women's leaderboard, but one who isn't there, and again, not panic time, but you sort of scratch your head at it, Tia Toomey.
Well, believe it or not, Sean, this is actually an improvement on last year. Tia-Clair Toomey was 400th in the world in 18.1 to kick off her Open season. She did just fine after that, I'll tell you that. But, I had the chance to talk with Tia a little bit to talk about her approach as well as her move to Cookeville, and she joined me via Skype earlier this week.
How are you attacking Open workouts this week? What's kind of routine or plan for attacking them?
Yeah. So I definitely don't have a problem with redoing the workouts. However, I'm not going to change up my routine of training just to get a few more better placings. I'm definitely, considering what could come up in the Open. So now we've had rowing and wall balls. I mean, we could have rowing and wall balls again. However, I think that it's probably unlikely. And I know that throughout training, we're trying not to do too much, pull-ups on Wednesday night leading into just before the open announcement, just in case pull-ups come into the picture. So we've definitely got to, like past years, have a look at training and make sure that we're not fatiguing specific muscle groups that could potentially come up in the open over the weekend. But training is a priority, and making sure that we have the structure and I guess that good flow, so that I guess my fitness and strength levels aren't getting affected by simply having to redo the open all the time. But as long as I'm in the top 20 in the world, I think I'll be happy.
You will be able to see that interview in its entirety later this week on our YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe, Inside Elite Fitness. The overall theme, though, here, it is just week one. And if you're an athlete who is not only outside the top 20, but maybe even outside the top 50, there is no reason to stomp the panic button right now.
Not at all. And you would hate to reduce anything as far as fitness goes to simply height and weight. But let's be honest. This week favored some of us big guys over here with rowing and wall balls. It certainly didn't hurt to be a little bit taller, a little bit heavier for both of those movements, given, of course, that you've got some fitness. But again, like I said earlier, this is why the Open is 5 weeks. And if there's one thing I have faith in, is that as we progress through this Open, come week 4, week 5, Dave Castro will have a balanced test put together, and that will become more evident with every week.
Yeah, this is just the first step. That is going to do it for us for today. I want to remind you to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Inside Elite Fitness. Subscribe to our podcast, Talking Elite Fitness, and then find us on Instagram and on Facebook. For Tommy Marquez, I'm Sean Woodland, but we are going to leave you with a little bit of brevity after you are all now recovering from 19.1. You may or may not know that there is a group of elite athletes out there who have started a hashtag Trash Talk Thursday. Jason Carroll, Brent Fikowski, Pat Vellner, Travis Williams, and then Lucas Eschlinger. The loser has to endure a punishment. This week's loser, Pat Vellner, so we leave you with him enduring his shame.
This week I was the least fit of all my friends, so we're going to do the week 1 open humiliation. So nice healthy serving of water balloons and flour.
And go.
Oh! Right. Do you want to get more flour? Oh.